Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This one's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
this time, we're not looking at a published novel. It's more like a collection of different things. We
Yeah.
have excerpts, research papers, even journal entries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they all seem to connect to this guy, James. And the themes, well, we're getting into memory manipulation and something called an echo chamber.
Sounds intense, like we're stepping into some kind of psychological thriller,
Yeah, a
right?
bit.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how it starts. James and his partner, Sarah, they have what seems like the perfect life. Successful, connected, the whole modern power couple image.
I see, but then there are these hints, these cracks beneath the surface.
Exactly. You start to feel that tension, like something's off, even in those happy early moments, like, are we being set up for something here?
Right. And then we're hit with James's memory issues. It starts small, forgetting things here and there, but it quickly becomes this huge thing for him. He's documenting every little lapse, really trying to figure out what's happening.
It's kind of scary, actually. Makes you think, what if that happened to you? Losing your memories, your sense of self.
And then things get even weirder. An old handwritten letter pops up, hidden away in their house, clearly been there for ages. And the content, total mystery. It's so strange that James actually sneaks around at night just to photograph it.
Like he can't even talk about it openly or something. What could be in that letter?
It makes you think, right? He's almost like he's starting to sense that things aren't what they seem, like reality is shifting around him. And then the photos he takes of the letter, poof, they're gone, deleted.
No way. That's creepy. More than a technical glitch, right? Like someone or something is trying to erase evidence.
Exactly. And this is where the idea of the echo chamber starts to come in. It's not directly defined, but you see it in how James's perceptions are getting distorted. He's surrounded by information that might not even be true. It's like he's trapped in this bubble of his own making.
And it's interesting because this echo chamber idea connects to James's work too, right? He's developing AI, focusing on emotion recognition software. And he's really struggling with the ethics of it all.
It's almost like his personal experience with this distorted reality is feeding into his worries about the tech he's creating.
Definitely a parallel there. And it brings
Hmm.
up all those questions about responsibility, especially when you're building something that could be used for good or bad.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of connections, there's that flashback to when James and Sarah first met. At a tech conference, no less.
Yeah. You really get this sense of their shared passion for using technology to create a more connected world.
Mm.
But even then, there's that awareness of the potential downsides. Like they know there's a dark side to innovation.
Foreshadowing? Maybe. But then James gets this email, sender unknown, but there's a symbol. And guess what? It matches the one from the hidden letter.
Whoa. So the mystery deepens. What do you think it means? This email, the symbol, the whole thing?
Well, it's clearly meant to unnerve him, but it also says something about how we look for meaning, in a world overflowing with information. We're always trying to connect the dots, even when we don't have all the pieces. And sometimes those connections lead to unexpected places.
So true. It's like our brains are wired to look for patterns. Speaking of connections, while James is dealing with all this, Sarah's got her own strange stuff happening. She's getting these constant, mysterious phone calls at work.
Huh, yeah. Her colleagues are noticing, even management's picking up on it, like something's pulling her away, but we don't know what yet.
Definitely adds to the suspense. Are their experiences linked? Or are they on totally separate paths?
Great question. And to add to the mix, James finds a hidden app on his phone. What it does is never explained outright, but it seems like it offers this curated online experience, like a personalized echo chamber where he can escape the messiness of the real world. Makes you think. Do we seek out comfort in confirmation bias? Or do we embrace the challenge of facing the world warts and all?
It's a choice we all make in some way, right? Especially online. Algorithms are so good at tailoring our experiences these days.
Absolutely. Convenience over a broader perspective. It's a real dilemma. And then there's the whole medication thing. James gets prescribed something for his memory problems, but when he looks it up online, he finds all this conflicting information.
So he's experiencing the echo chamber effect in his real life now. Conflicting narratives about the very medication meant to help him.
Exactly. It really shows how easily we can be swayed by information, even when it comes to our health. This whole scenario really emphasizes the importance of critical thinking, right? Especially online.
Absolutely. We all need to be a lot more discerning about the information we consume. And then we see James take that first step towards dealing with his issues head on. He goes to his first therapy session with Dr. Rivera.
Ah, Dr. Rivera. The scene really highlights the contrast between the peaceful atmosphere of her office and the turmoil James is feeling inside.
Yeah, emphasizes how important that sense of safety and trust is in therapy. And you can feel James starting to feel hopeful, like maybe he can unravel this mystery that's consuming him. But then, just when it seems like he's making progress, something truly disturbing happens. He finds hidden surveillance cameras in his apartment.
Multiple cameras. And they're hidden in plain sight. Talk about a violation of privacy.
Chilling, right? It makes you wonder who's watching, why, and what are they going to do with that information?
It throws everything into question. Who can James trust? Is he a target? It's a turning point in the story, pushing him deeper into that world of uncertainty.
And amidst all this chaos, we have this really touching scene where James is having dinner with Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't even remember details about their shared memories. You can feel the fear, the sense that their connection is weakening.
Heartbreaking. It shows how crucial shared memories are to relationships. They're the stories we build our connections on. And when those memories get distorted, it can really damage those foundations.
So true. And just when things feel incredibly heavy, we're introduced to a new character, Wei. He joins James's team at work, and he immediately shakes things up.
Wee's described as a synthesizer, someone who can see multiple perspectives and challenge the echo chamber that's formed around the project, like a breath of fresh air.
That's like a new perspective entering this increasingly claustrophobic world, right?
Exactly. He represents that possibility of breaking through echo chambers, of challenging assumptions. But will anyone listen?
That's the million-dollar question. Because right after that, James brings in these old family photos, and they completely contradict his memories of his childhood. It's like another layer of the mystery being peeled back.
Whoa. So now even his memories of the past are unreliable.
It seems that way. It
Yeah.
really makes you question the whole concept of memory. If it can be so easily manipulated, what does that mean for our identity, for our sense of self?
Huge implications, right? And Sarah's not immune to this uncertainty either. She has this unusual reaction to Wei, a mix of admiration and envy. It forces her to look inward, to question her own self-image and her relationships.
Almost like she's starting to see the echo chamber she's been living in, and it's making her uncomfortable.
Yeah. And in the next scene, we see how hard it is to break through an echo chamber. Wei tries to share some important insights with the team, but he's constantly interrupted. No one wants to hear what he has to say.
So frustrating. It highlights how difficult it is to challenge the status quo, even when it's clear that change is necessary.
People cling to their beliefs, even when there's evidence to the contrary. It's unsettling to have your beliefs challenged, especially within a group where everyone's reinforcing the same narrative.
It can feel almost impossible to break out of that. And just as we're starting to see those cracks forming in the echo chamber, the episode ends on this cliffhanger. James becomes fixated on a locked cabinet that belongs to Sarah.
Oh, the locked cabinet. Everyone's whispering about it, speculating about what's inside.
James is determined to find out. He even uses a book on puzzles to try and open it. Adds to the mystery. So, what do you think is in that cabinet? And why is James so obsessed with it?
It's the big question, isn't it? That locked cabinet becomes a symbol of the secrets hidden beneath the surface of their perfect world. Those things that are kept locked away, the truths people are afraid to confront. James is no longer content to live in the dark. He's actively seeking answers, even if it means breaking the rules and putting everything on the line. It's like he needs to know, right? But before we even get to the cabinet, the story throws us back to James's past, specifically to the alleged suicide of his father.
Oh, wow. Heavy stuff.
Yeah, and it's never fully explained. A lot of unanswered questions. It clearly had a big impact on James. This event shrouded in mystery makes you wonder his memory problems now, his struggles with reality, if they're connected to this childhood trauma.
Yeah, like the past is never really gone. It keeps shaping us, even if we don't realize it. And with his father's death, it's not just the loss, it's the lack of closure. That whole echo chamber of speculation within the family, it adds another layer of complexity to James's already shaky sense of reality.
Absolutely. And as he's digging deeper into his own memories, trying to piece things together, he finds these research papers. They're about memory manipulation.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's wild. It mentions this institute, Cascade Neurological, and they're doing some pretty ethically questionable experiments.
That's kind of terrifying. The idea that our memories, the very things that make us who we are, could be altered, erased.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything.
Right. It's like, who can you trust? What's real? And then there's Sarah's behavior. It gets even more suspicious. There's the scene where she catches James doing something he shouldn't be.
Ooh, what is he up to?
We don't know the specifics, but her explanation is just too perfect, almost rehearsed. Makes you wonder if she's somehow involved in this whole memory manipulation thing.
Yeah, like she's trying to control what James knows, steer him away from the truth, and then boom, another twist. Security footage pops up, but it contradicts what all the eyewitnesses said happened at a certain event.
Classic misdirection. It shows how easily our perception can be messed with, even when we think we're seeing things clearly.
It makes you realize we're not always in control of the information we receive. What we think is real could just be a carefully crafted illusion.
Exactly. And just when James is spiraling, lost in this web of doubt, he gets a call from a detective, Morrison.
Oh, finally, someone from the outside.
Right. Morrison's investigating a case linked to the Cascade Institute, and he needs James's help.
Okay, so someone finally believes him, gives him that validation he needs.
And Morrison seems like the real deal, a thorough investigator, not afraid to rock the boat. As he digs deeper, he uncovers evidence of some shady stuff happening at Cascade. Corruption, a potential cover-up. It's clear some powerful people want to keep things buried.
Classic conspiracy thriller stuff. You got to wonder how high up this goes.
And hold on, it gets even crazier. James finds these hidden notes. They're scattered everywhere, in books, behind pictures, even in his clothes, written in different handwriting, but they all point to the same thing.
Okay, what is it? I'm on the edge of my seat here.
They hint at people struggling against some kind of mental control, like they're trying to break free, to communicate, to warn others.
Chills. So it's not just James. There are others out there who've been subjected to this memory manipulation.
Seems like it. It goes from a personal struggle to something much bigger, a potential conspiracy with huge consequences.
Wow. And amidst all this, we have these two really strong women trying to navigate this messed up world. Dr. Rivera, James's therapist, she represents that unwavering belief in healing, in understanding.
Yeah. And then there's Sarah, who's getting more and more entangled in the mystery. It's fascinating how they have these completely different perspectives, yet they're both searching for truth in their own ways.
Two sides of the same coin, maybe? But James's medical journey, it's still a frustrating mess. He's desperate for answers, hitting dead end after dead end, stuck in this echo chamber of uncertainty about his own health. And then things get even weirder. He starts having these time displacement episodes.
Time displacement, what does that even mean?
It's like his perception of time gets completely distorted. It's not clear if it's the medication, a side effect of the memory manipulation, or something else entirely. But it creates this feeling that reality is unstable, like the world around him is crumbling.
And on top of all that, he finds evidence that someone's been entering his apartment while he's asleep.
No way. Talk about paranoia fuel.
It really emphasizes his vulnerability. Like, if someone could just waltz into his home, who's to say they haven't been messing with other parts of his life, too?
It makes you question everything. And then Sarah, her behavior gets more and more erratic. She withdraws from her friends, starts making impulsive decisions. Everyone's worried about her.
It's like whatever she's involved in, the pressure is cracking that perfect facade she's built around herself. Makes you wonder how much of her true self has been buried, how much she's sacrificed to maintain control.
A lot of weight on her shoulders, for sure. And then Morrison, with his investigation, he finds a disturbing pattern. It's not just isolated incidents. It seems like this memory manipulation is a systemic issue.
Like a total disregard for the most vulnerable people in society. It's a chilling reminder of how easily some voices can be silenced, exploited.
Morrison's persistence is a ray of light in all this darkness, though. He's determined to expose the truth, hold those in power accountable. But it's clear he's up against some serious forces, putting himself at risk.
Yeah, it's a David and Goliath situation. And just when you think it can't get more intense, James does something incredibly risky. He breaks into the Cascade Neurological Institute. He manages to download these confidential research files, risking everything to bring the truth to light.
Talk about a bold move.
Yeah.
He goes from passive victim to taking charge of his own fate.
But the stakes are higher than ever. What will he do with this information? Can he protect himself from those who want to silence him?
And then, this really unsettling image. James walks into an apartment, and it's identical to his own, but empty. No furniture, no pictures, nothing.
Whoa, empty, like a shell. What makes a home, right? Is it just the physical space, or is it the memories, the emotions tied to it?
It's a chilling thought. If you can manipulate memories, can you also manipulate our sense of home, of belonging?
It's a question that gets to the core of our identity. And then another twist, we see multiple videos of James's breakdown, each one slightly different, like someone's been manipulating them, creating different narratives of his experience.
So you can't even trust what we see. It makes you question everything that's come before.
It's a prime example of how evidence can be distorted, twisted to fit a certain agenda. Reinforces that echo chamber theme, how easily our perceptions can be shaped.
And then there's this tense confrontation with security at the Institute. All those themes come up: control, privacy, the consequences of seeking the truth.
It shows how far those in power will go to protect their secrets. Challenging the system can have serious consequences.
And for James, those consequences are devastating. He ends up committed to a psychiatric facility. It's like the system designed to help him is actually working against him, silencing him, discrediting his experiences.
It's heartbreaking, a perfect example of how someone struggling with mental health can be dismissed, pushed aside, especially when they're challenging powerful institutions.
But even in that oppressive environment, there's a spark of hope. James meets other patients, people with similar stories, who've also experienced memory manipulation. They form a community, sharing their experiences, supporting each other.
Even in the most isolated, controlled places, that human connection shines through. It's a testament to resilience, to finding strength in shared experience.
Meanwhile, Morrison's still out there, continuing his investigation. He can't get into the facility, but he's relying on the people James has contacted, those outside the system, trying to piece together the bigger picture and bring it to light.
A race against time, for sure. James trapped inside, Morrison fighting from the outside. It's a battle for truth, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
It's edge-of-your-seat stuff.
Yeah.
And then, another unexpected discovery. James finds this hidden library inside the facility. It's full of journals and letters from past patients.
A secret archive of human experience.
Exactly. Each entry offers a glimpse into their struggles, their hopes, their resilience. Even within that oppressive system, there's this space for empathy, for shared humanity. And then the bombshell drops. We find out that Sarah is James's doctor at the facility.
Whoa, talk about a plot twist. It flips everything we thought we knew about the relationship on its head.
Right. Is she a willing participant? Or is she a victim, trapped in this role she can't escape?
It adds so much moral ambiguity to the story. And then this idea of reality fracturing comes into play.
It's not just about memory manipulation anymore. It's about how our individual perceptions create different versions of truth.
Yeah. Makes it almost impossible to know what's real. It really makes you think about the world we live in. Are we all just living in our own echo chambers, blinded by our biases and beliefs?
And if so, how can we ever hope to understand each other, find common ground?
And just as James is dealing with this fractured reality, we learn about Why's true purpose. He wasn't just randomly assigned to James's team, he was intentionally placed there to disrupt the echo chamber within the facility.
So there's a puppet master behind the scenes, orchestrating all this.
It seems that way, but it also highlights the potential for change, for individuals to break free from those echo chambers and challenge the established narratives.
Right, and we see Sarah going through her own awakening. She's starting to see the echo chamber she's been living in, questioning her role in this system.
It's like she's choosing to wake up, even if it means challenging everything she's always known.
And while she's on that journey, James's childhood memories begin to unravel. He uncovers evidence that contradicts the story of his father's suicide.
Everything he thought he knew about his family, his past, it's all crumbling around him.
The rug's been pulled out from under him. It emphasizes how those in control can shape our reality, our understanding of the world. Makes you wonder how much of what we believe is just a carefully constructed story meant to keep us in line.
And as James struggles with this, multiple versions of his past emerge, each one with a different perspective, different truths.
It must be dizzying for him, disorienting.
Absolutely. The very foundation of his identity is in question, and as his world is falling apart, Sarah's credibility is being challenged too.
Her colleagues are starting to question her narrative, her connection to the Cascade Institute.
She's facing the consequences of her choices, the risk of losing everything. And just when things seem their bleakest, James makes a daring escape from the facility.
He's free, but what now?
He's out of that controlled environment, but he's still grappling with a shattered reality. Plus, he's a fugitive now, hunted by those who want to silence him.
A whole new set of dangers. Can he truly escape the echo chamber that's been built around him?
That's the big question. And as he navigates this new world, he's hit with the reality of his digital footprint. All that data collected on him, the algorithms shaping his online experience without him knowing.
It makes you think about privacy. about how much of our lives are out there being used to manipulate us.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder, we get this bombshell. Video evidence showing James going through multiple marriages to Sarah.
Multiple marriages. Hold on, I need to rewind.
It's wild, right? Each marriage, seemingly identical to the last, raises all sorts of questions about consent, memory manipulation, the very nature of reality.
Mind blown. So is anything real at this point?
And as James tries to process that, Morrison's investigation takes a major leap forward. He uncovers evidence of a much bigger conspiracy.
Bigger than the Cascade Institute.
Oh, yeah. This involves powerful entities, people using memory manipulation for their own game, to control entire populations, rewrite history. It's chilling.
The stakes just got even higher. And then James finds proofs of this memory wiping procedure used on him and countless others.
Horrifying. Makes you realize the potential of this technology for abuse, for control. It raises huge ethical questions about identity, about our right to own our memories. And facing that reality, James decides to go cold turkey on his medication.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge decision. Risky.
He wants to reclaim his own mind, even if that means facing withdrawal, facing the full force of his fractured memories.
Brave, but terrifying. And as he goes through withdrawal, the line between reality and hallucination starts to blur.
He's constantly questioning what's real, what's been implanted, what's truly his own. It's a powerful depiction of how fragile the human mind can be.
And then we're left with this image of multiple realities converging, colliding. It's a powerful metaphor for the state of our world where truth is so elusive.
It's unsettling. Like, the very fabric of reality is unraveling. Makes you wonder, are we all just living in echo chambers, blind to the forces shaping our lives?
And if so, is there any way to break free?
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Where do you even begin to piece together reality when it's been shattered like that?
It's overwhelming, to say the least. And as the story reaches its climax, things get even more intense. All those fractured realities, they start to converge.
Yeah. It's fascinating in a terrifying sort of way. For James, who's already struggling to tell what's real, it's got to be a nightmare.
Absolutely. He's surrounded by these fragments of memories, experiences, identities. It's like he's caught in this whirlwind trying to find his footing. And as those fragments collide, the truth about his father's death starts to surface.
The official story, the one everyone's accepted for years, it just crumbles. New evidence pops up that contradicts everything James and his family believed.
It's a complete upheaval of his reality. It's not just about his father anymore. It's about the realization that his whole life has been built on a lie.
Makes you wonder how much of what we accept as truth is just a carefully constructed story, right? Designed to keep us in the dark, to keep us from asking too many questions.
It's a scary thought. Makes you question everyone and everything. And as James grapples with this, he realizes he's not alone. There are others out there who've been subjected to this memory manipulation.
People who've had their lives rewritten to fit someone else's agenda. And they're starting to fight back, to reclaim their stories, to expose the truth.
It's a spark of hope, isn't it? Even in the face of this massive conspiracy, the truth has a way of finding its way out.
And as James connects with these other survivors, the scope of the conspiracy becomes clear. The Cascade Institute is just one piece of the puzzle.
So there's something bigger going on.
Much bigger, powerful people pulling strings from the shadows, trying to control reality itself. It's chilling.
It really highlights the need for us to be aware, to question the information we're given, to demand transparency.
Absolutely. And as the fight for truth intensifies, Sarah's caught in the middle. She's forced to confront her own role in all of this, the choices she's made.
She has to choose a side, right? The system that's given her power or the truth that threatens to tear it all down.
It's a tough spot to be in. And while Sarah's dealing with that, James and the others are in a race against time to expose the conspiracy. They know the risks, but they're determined to create a world where truth matters, where memories are sacred.
A world where reality isn't something that can be manipulated and controlled.
Exactly. It's a fight that takes them to the very heart of the conspiracy, a confrontation that forces them to face their deepest fears. And in the end, the truth does come out. But it's not a clean, easy victory.
There's always a cost, isn't there?
Always. The lines between good and bad, victim and perpetrator, they get blurred. And the world that emerges from this is forever changed. A world where the boundaries between reality and fabrication are permanently fractured.
It's a sobering thought. Makes you realize the fight for truth is never truly over.
It's a constant battle, but there's hope too, you know? The human spirit is strong. Even in the darkest of times, we find ways to resist, to connect, to create meaning.
That's the key takeaway for me. Reality is fragile, memories are precious, and we have to be constantly on guard against those who try to control us.
But we also have the power to shape our own realities, to question the narratives we're given, and fight for a world where truth and authenticity matter.
It's a powerful message, especially in a world like ours, where misinformation spreads so easily, and the lines between what's real and what's fake are increasingly blurred.
So as you navigate your own reality, remember what we've uncovered here. Question everything, trust your gut, and never give up the fight for truth.
Because when reality itself is up for grabs, the truth is the most powerful weapon we have. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.